And joining us now is Jennifer Gerbi and Dave Ginley. They're both with the Venue Change Task Force for the MRS meeting in the spring. And let's talk about that, because for years it's always been in San Francisco. This year you've decided to choose Phoenix. So take me inside the task force. How did you come about deciding on Phoenix?
So we picked a very diverse task force made up of past presidents, industry representatives, academic representatives, old guys like myself, and young guys.
And young women like Jennifer.
Young women, absolutely. And we looked at staying in San Francisco, and we looked at alternatives, and we looked at a whole set of criteria, and we based our decision on the criteria and on the MRS strategic initiatives and intent. And what we found is that San Francisco in the long run isn't going to be able to meet our needs, and another venue was necessary. We looked at a lot of different possible venues, and Phoenix won hands down.
And Jennifer, tell us about, how did you come up with a list of candidates in the first place? What were some of the criteria that you were looking for in a place to hold the meeting?
Well, that's a great question, and the first criteria was easy. The meeting is huge. There's actually only so many cities in this country that can actually hold the meeting. It's surprising how few there are. And we took a look at that list and actually did quite a bit of work looking into the cities themselves and the venues and what the experience of the meeting would be like in each city. And so there were a number of criteria, but I think one of the top ones was being able to have the meeting under one roof to promote sort of the interdisciplinary nature of the meeting, and so that people could attend many different symposia, they could go all over the place, be able to get the exhibit easily. Being on the ground and going through what the center was like was invaluable for being able to determine
It's good to have it centralized for folks coming to the meeting.
Extremely important.
Dave, you also mentioned, though, Phoenix had one additional benefit as well. It's a little easier on the pocketbook.
It's substantially easier on the pocketbook.
Even better.
In this day and age, you know, how many people get to attend your meeting is partially on how much it costs. And Phoenix will end up costing something on the order of 30% less per participant, which is a big incentive, especially since it offers very much of the same aesthetics, if not more, than many of the other venues.
The attendees will certainly appreciate that. But Jennifer, what are some of the other benefits that Phoenix offered you think attendees will come to appreciate and enjoy?
Sure. And actually, cost actually wasn't one of our main criteria. That was just a bonus that sort of came along for the ride, I would say. I think one of the most important things when people go, other than being able to go between different symposia, is accessibility, being able to network, and being connected electronically. And one of the things that Phoenix brought that nobody else brought was an extremely advanced capability for being able to capture content at the meetings and also have internet access everywhere, which is something we all struggle with whenever we go to one of these meetings. But Phoenix was just a step above in terms of the infrastructure they put in place, and I think that's really going to help us move forward in terms of capturing content.
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned virtual content. Very important for MRS?
Yeah, it's a major initiative. It's a way to connect with the people who can't make the meeting and the rest of the world. And so it's becoming an increasingly important part of the meeting. A larger part of the meeting is being captured at each meeting. And eventually, there's a vision that will capture the whole meeting and maybe even stream it virtually. And so there are very few places that can do that right now.
So for some of the attendees that might be a little reticent out there, not sure about Phoenix, I imagine you'd say, don't worry, it's going to be a good time.
Actually, I think what people will find is Phoenix, not only is the convention center really an excellent space, there's an immense amount of networking space that's very comfortable and functional, but within walking distance there's museums, there's restaurants, there's a baseball stadium, a football stadium, a hockey rink. I mean, there's just a ton of activities that you can do. It's a very comfortable city, and the city is very excited about hosting MRS.
And Jennifer, I would assume you agree?
Yeah, and there's a huge university presence in the town, which gives it a very different feel than you might expect. And to be fair, when we were first looking at the list, I was surprised that Phoenix was even on the list. I was sort of down on Phoenix. Everybody knows this. And then I went and I sort of turned into one of its biggest offenders, because once you're there and you actually go through the space and see what the meeting feels like, it just blows you away. It's completely different than what you would think it would be. And we're really excited about it because we really believe it's exactly what the MRS needs.
So what Jennifer said is really true. Everybody on the committee started out going, Phoenix? Why is it on the list? Yeah. And ended up going unanimously, we have to go to Phoenix.
And you are.
And we are.
Well, I wish you the best. No doubt it's going to be a good meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. Jennifer Gerbi, Dave Ginley, wish you the best.
Thank you.